Welcome everyone. This is the Advanced Research in Criminal Justice and Security webinar. My name is Taylor Lee and I am the Liaison Librarian to the School of Public Policy and Administration here at Walden. This webinar is designed for students who have completed the bulk of their coursework and are starting to think about their dissertation. So for the purposes of this webinar, I will assume that you're already familiar with the library's website, your own particular research homepage, and at least a few subject-specific databases. That being said, I want to emphasize that everyone is welcome here. I just wanted to include that little disclaimer in case you find yourself wondering what I'm talking about at any given point. And if you do find yourself in that situation, I recommend going back and watching the Introduction to Criminal Justice and Security webinar, because that will clarify a lot of the things that we discuss here. So in this webinar, we'll discuss advanced search strategies for subject-specific scholarly databases. We'll also discuss pertinent parts of the library's homepage and helpful resources advanced level students have at their disposal. So with that being said, let's take a look at our objectives. Okay, first we'll see how to access quick answers and library skills guides. These are two great pieces of instructional content that you have at your disposal. Then we'll talk about Boolean operators, what they are, and how you can use them to improve your database searching results. Then we'll look at some alternative search methods, alternative to the more standard keyword searching strategy. And we'll specifically talk about subject term searching and abstract searching. Then we'll talk generally about comprehensive searching, what it means to search comprehensively, and two ways that can help you do that: saved searches and search alerts. Finally, we will talk about how to go about requesting materials that we do not provide access to, which is a really important skill to have, especially at the doctoral level. And we will be deviating from the PowerPoint, so I'm going to actually go now. Whoops. Sorry, that's not what I meant to do. Give me one moment here. Okay. So I'm going to come over here to the library's homepage. And I'll try to make this a bit bigger, because I want to show you how to access two helpful resources that you might not know about: quick answers and library guides. Both of these resource types offer written instructional content on a variety of topics related to using the library. Both quick answers and guides are great because, unlike librarians, they're available 24/7. So if you get stuck in your research, you might want to check out some of this content before submitting a question to the Ask a Librarian tool. Both quick answers and guides are accessible via this main search bar on the library's homepage. The only thing you have to do to access them is to toggle from the default selected option, which is Thoreau, to the other option, which says Search Everything. And then we can simply type in something that we have a question about. So for our example, I'm going to use the term peer review. And this is what your results are going to look like. You'll have three columns. Over here on the left, this is where you'll see our guides. In the central column, you'll find quick answers, and on the right, you will see content from Thoreau. Let's talk about quick answers first. So as the name implies, these are short answers to commonly asked questions. So let me just click this first result, which says, what is peer review? And as you can see, it offers a concise answer to this question. And then it links out to related content down here at the bottom. So this is a great place to start when you have really any question about the library. And as a testament to its utility, this is where librarians at Walden come when we have a question about the library. Now let's go back and look at a guide. So when you're reviewing these guides, there will actually be 2 links per result. There will be a link that is bolded and then a second link that is not bolded. The first link is a section of the second link. So the second link is actually the larger guide. So I'm going to click on that second link, and this is our Verify Peer Review guide. And as you can see, it offers much more detail than the quick answer does. So keep that in mind. And so that's how you access quick answers and our library skills guides. You can also browse all of the guides we have if you come up here to Get Help. And did I come to the right place? Yes, library skills guides over here. This is where you can browse through all of the guides we have, and we do have quite a lot. So if you have a question about the library, we likely have a guide on it. So definitely come here and review these at some point. So I'm going to go back to the library homepage now, and I'm going to use this search bar to segue into our next topic, which is Boolean operators. So I'm going to type in the word Boolean, and I'm going to click on the first quick answer. What are Boolean operators? I'm going to see if I can enlarge this image a bit. Okay. So Boolean operators essentially are these 3 terms, and, or, and not. And we use these terms in between our search terms when we're searching in databases to tell the database exactly how we want to search. The word or is going to always increase the number of results you get. It's going to expand the number of results you see. We use the word or in between search terms that represent the same concept. So for any topic, there will be a few different concepts involved, but you want to use as many synonymous search terms for each concept as you can to get good results. And we'll see an example of this shortly. The word and, on the other hand, is always going to decrease the results. It's going to limit them. And we use this word in between search terms that represent distinct concepts. Finally, the word not is similarly going to decrease results, but it is used less frequently, only in special cases where there might be one word in your search that is skewing the results you're seeing, and you can exclude that term by using this term not. So I'm going to go now to a database so we can see these Boolean operators at work. And I'm going to go to, first I'm going to go to the Criminal Justice and Security Research homepage, and I'm going to show you how to get there if you haven't been yet. I'm going to, on the library homepage, click on this drop-down menu that says Select a Subject. Come down to Criminal Justice and Security. And then you'll be on the research homepage. I'm going to scroll down, open up this first drop-down menu for databases. And I'm going to open this first database, Criminal Justice Database, up in a new tab. Let's see if I can make this a bit bigger. Okay, maybe one more. Okay, so here we are on the advanced search screen of Criminal Justice Database. For our sample research question today, we'll use this question. What is the relationship between recidivism and drug abuse among white male ex-convicts? So the way we can begin is to just pull keywords straight out of our research question. And we're going to use one concept per search box. So again, what is the relationship between recidivism and drug abuse among white male ex-convicts? So I'm just going to start plugging in terms. Recidivism in the first search box. Drug abuse in the second search box. I'm going to add a couple of rows. White males, and add one more row and do ex-convicts. Now, typically you won't have 5 search boxes. Sometimes you might, but I like to try to keep it to 2 or 3. But for the purposes of this exercise, this will be a good example. Now, before we click search, we're going to scroll down on this page and we want to uncheck this option for full text, and we want to check this peer-reviewed box. We do this to ensure that we're seeing everything out there on this topic, not only those materials we have immediate full text access to. So for the purposes of course assignments, you might want to keep that full text box checked because you need those materials more quickly. But at the doctoral level, for your dissertation, you really need to see everything. And we'll discuss how to request those materials that we don't have access to later on. You can also limit by date on this initial search page. There's a lot of different options, or you can select a specific date range. I, however, like to see how many results we get before we do that. So I'm going to search. Okay, so from that search, we're getting 48 results. Now, that's not bad, but it's not enough for a literature review, especially when you consider that at least some of these results are probably not going to be usable for you. So let's use some of those Boolean operators to see what we can do. So the way we'll do that is click on Modify Search at the top of the list of results. You want to do this instead of clicking back, because clicking back will erase your search terms. And this will bring us back to that initial page. And I'll show you a few tricks. So in this first box, we have the term recidivism. We can expand our results. Now, this isn't technically a Boolean operator, but if we place an asterisk after the S toward the end of the word, actually, I'm going to place it after that V, we will see results for all variations of that root term. So this can be really helpful. For recidivism, we'll see results for recidivism or recidivists, but there are other cases which, there might be 5 or 6 other terms that you would return results for by doing that. So it's a good shortcut. So recidivism with the asterisk, I'm going to use that Boolean operator or, and we can think about other terms we might use when we're talking about recidivism. So one term that I think about is repeat offenders or repeat offenses. So to capture both of those, I'm going to do that same trick, put an asterisk after the in the term repeat offenders. And another term we might use is habitual offenders. Same thing, going to use that asterisk again. Then we move on to the next concept. So in addition to drug abuse, we might use terms like drug use or substance abuse. We'll add those and we'll continue. In addition to white, we'll do Caucasian. In addition to males, we'll add men. And you can see I'm separating all of these new terms with the word or. I'm capitalizing that word. You don't need to necessarily. It used to be that you did have to indicate to the database what you were doing. These days, they're more intuitive, but I still do it that way. So ex-convicts, we can add a couple of other terms like ex-felons or ex-criminals. And keep in mind too that you could and should include search terms that you personally would not use in your own writing. The goal here is to return as much relevant literature as possible. So you want to be thinking beyond the terms that you would use to think about terms that someone might use. Okay, so we've added some terms. I'm going to search again to see what that did for our results. And now we're seeing 116. And I think we had something like 48, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just a brief demonstration of how much more you can find by optimizing your searches with those Boolean operators. Now, the searches that we've been doing so far have been examples of simple keyword searching. And this will remain one of the most reliable and straightforward ways to search. But there are other ways to search as well. And as we mentioned before, subject term searching and abstract searching are two of those methods. So why would we choose one of these alternative search methods over a simple keyword search, especially when we're all so comfortable with keyword searching these days? Well, the answer is using one of these other methods is going to increase the relevancy of the results that you see. So keyword searching might return results that only mention your search term once in passing. Search subject terms, on the other hand, let me just explain a bit what subject terms are. These are words or phrases that are assigned to articles by humans based on the entirety of their content. So they're much more reliable indicators of relevancy. Keywords can be virtually anything. You can search for anything as a keyword. Subject terms, on the other hand, have to be selected. They're limited and specific to an individual database. Depending on the database, the specific database you're in, subject terms might also be called things like index terms, subject headings, or topics. So they do go by multiple names. So if we want to do subject term searching, how do we even start? How do we know which subject terms to use? Well, after you run a simple keyword search, you can view the subject terms assigned to any of your results by clicking. In this database, you would click this link underneath that says abstract details. So I'm going to do that for our first result. And scrolling down on this page, and you can see here it says subject, and then it has a list of 4 subject terms here. So this is one way that you can identify those subject terms, and just looking at the subject terms that you see associated with the results that you get is going to help you identify other terms to use in future searches or additional terms to add to your existing search. So just another example here, another list of subject terms. And you'll note that all of these are hyperlinked, so you could click on one of them and it would show you all of the results in this particular database that have been assigned the subject term of, in this case, social control. Now, another thing that I'll briefly mention, let me go back here, is, let's see, I'm going to go back to modify search. Okay, if we do go back to modify search, you come back to this initial screen, you'll also notice a link above that first search box that says Thesaurus. I'm going to open that up in a new search box, or a new window, that is, a new tab. This is a tool that allows you to, it essentially helps you brainstorm other terms that you might want to use when you're looking for literature on your topic. So let's say you've run some searches, you're not getting anything. This is where you might come to to see if there are any other terms that this particular database prefers over what you've been searching for. Now let's see here. So I'm going to type in drug use. And when I do that, it does give me a result, and that result is hyperlinked. So I'm going to click on that. And when I do this, it will show related terms underneath. Now, this particular result is a bit limited. There's only about 8 or 9 terms here. Other lists could be quite expansive. And then for other terms, you won't get a result at all. But it's always good to check. And so what I do is I run a search, and then I just scroll through these results that I'm getting, and I jot down on a piece of paper any other terms that I think might be relevant and might be helpful to use in my searches. And then I go back to this search page and I add them in, or I do a completely new search. Okay. All right, 1 second, just making sure we're on track here. Another thing to know about is I lost my train of thought. Let's see, let's run this search one more time. I want to get a subject term and show you an example. Okay, so we're looking at these subject terms for this first result. We do see that recidivism itself is a subject term, so it is an accepted subject term in this database, so we'll use that for our comparative exercise in just one moment. I also want to show you sorry, I'm getting scrambled here. Essentially, once you identify some subject terms that are relevant for your topic, you can enter those in here and select subject heading is what they call it in this database, and search that way. You can also do it the way that I was indicating before, which is to just click on that hyperlink term that you see in the abstract details page. All right. Now, I also want to mention abstract searching, and this is a very simple yet very effective way to search. It's nearly identical to keyword searching, except for one small but important detail. So, like subject term searching, abstract searching is going to return more relevant results than just simple keyword searching, because it's going to search for your search terms only in the article's abstract. And an article's abstract is a succinct summary of the overall content of that article. So if a term shows up there, it is very likely representative of the overall content of the article. So that's why searching in the abstract is helpful. So if you're ever getting far too many results for your searches, first of all, that's a good problem to have. But this is a good thing to do to narrow your results, but also increase the relevancy of those results. Okay, so let me clear out this search because I want to show you what I mean here. So let's use this term drug abuse. First, we're just going to run a completely normal keyword search. I am going to limit to peer reviewed, and I will uncheck full text. And we just want to see, generally speaking, how much is out there on this topic of drug abuse. So over 40,000 results. So obviously that is a very high number of results, way too many to go through. So let's, instead of running a keyword search, let's change this to subject heading. Okay, so just by doing that, this brings us all the way down to just over 12,000, still quite a lot of results. So let's see what else we can do. So instead of subject heading, let's select abstract. Okay, and when we select abstract, this brings us all the way down to around 4,600 results. So we went from 40,000 down to 4,600 just by doing that. So keep this in mind because it can be very, very helpful. Okay, so let's switch gears now and talk about citation chaining. This is another alternative way to search that can be very effective. So let's say that you find an article, you've gone through a database search like we've done here, you find an article that is perfect for your topic, but it's from 2011 and your literature is supposed to come from the past 5 years. What can you do in this case? This is where citation chaining comes into play. This is a way to, you can do a lot with citation chaining. You can identify the most influential articles on your topic, as well as use an existing piece of literature to follow that particular scholarly conversation, both forward in time and backward in time. But most often, you'll be using it to identify more current literature on your topic. So the old school way to do this was to simply go in, find an article, go to the end, look at their list of references, and start tracking down references that you find there. You can do that. That still remains a legit way to do it. However, with technology, it's much easier to do that these days, and you can do that in our databases to a limited extent. So if you see here in this first result, there is this link down here that says cited by, and then another one that says references. So clicking this cited by link is going to show you all of the other content in this database that has cited this article. So you can see why this would be particularly helpful if you have literature that falls outside of that 5-year window. So if you clicked on this, if this article is from 2013, let's say, clicking on this, you would see literature that was published in 2000, probably 14 or later. So references, on the other hand, is going to give you all of this author's references. So this is how you would follow that scholarly conversation backwards in time if you wanted to do that. Now, you can do that in some of our databases. However, Google Scholar is particularly good for citation chaining, and let me show you how you would use it. You would simply copy the title of the article. So I'm going to do that for our first result here. I'm going to come over to Google Scholar and paste it in and search. When I do that, it's going to bring back an entry for this article. And I want to draw your attention to another cited by link, the cited by link in Google Scholar. So I believe in our other search, we had 84. In Google Scholar, we're getting more like 117. So significantly more, and usually it will be even more than that. But clicking on that link will show you all of the other content indexed by Google Scholar that cites the article that we searched for. So it's an excellent way to identify more recent literature. You will see links to, if any of this content is freely available online, you'll see links to it over here. If you have your Google Scholar in your web browser linked to Walden Library, you will see the Find at Walden links. And whenever you see those, don't be afraid to click on them. That is your indication that we have this article somewhere in our collection, and clicking on that link will take you there. All right. Now, another thing you might want to do is click on this related articles link right next to the cited by link. That is often a good way to identify relevant literature as well. And I think that's all I wanted to cover right now on Google Scholar. So I'm gonna pivot back to our PowerPoint. We are deviating from the PowerPoint, as I mentioned, but I've hyperlinked nearly everything in this presentation, so you can download it and access all of this content. So I want to pause here and talk about comprehensive searching and search alerts. Comprehensive searching means exhausting the literature on your topic, finding everything out there. And this often, or I should say very nearly always, requires that you look outside of your own research homepage. We do have some webinars that are specifically on this topic, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about this right now, but it's just really important to realize that dissertation topics are, to some extent, almost all dissertation topics rather, are to some extent interdisciplinary. So topics in criminal justice might include crime among children, in which case you might want to look at the education databases. Crime and mental illness, you would want to look at the psychology databases. Business crime, you could look at the business and management databases, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're looking at the research homepages, take a moment to think about your topic and think about what other homepages might be beneficial to you. And you can very easily, I'm back here on the criminal justice and security page, you can very easily navigate to those other research homepages using this drop-down menu in the top left corner of each page. So from here, I can jump to any of our other research home pages. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to criminal justice database. And I want to talk about saved searches and search alerts. So let's say that you run a search that is particularly well crafted and it returns excellent results. You may want to save this search, and you might want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, you might want to return to this search at a later date. Maybe you don't have time right then to sit there and weed through these results and pick out the ones that you want. Or you might want to be notified of new content added to this database that aligns with your search criteria. So the good news is, in both of these cases, you can do this. So let's see how we can do that. First, if we go to the top of our results page where we are now and look over to the right, we see this link that says save search/alert. And when you open that up, you'll see a few different options. The first option is to save search. Now, when you do that, it will save the search in a folder that appears up here at the top right-hand corner. Now, if you have not yet set up a personal account with this database, those results, any results that you save there or any searches that you save there will not be there the next time you come into criminal justice database. However, you can click on either the folder or this person icon, and it will prompt you to create your own account. These are free accounts. It's just your name and an email address. Once you do that, you'll be able to save individual results as well as entire searches in folders that will show up every time you log in. So just a word of warning, because we do hear from students who save a lot of content in a particular search and then they're wondering why it's not there next time they log in. You do have to create that personal account. Okay, the next option you have is to create alert. And this is a way that you can tell the database how often to email you when new content is added to the database that meets your search criteria. This is very useful for after you've collected the bulk of your literature. So let's say you've collected most of your literature, you're focusing more on to stay abreast of the literature coming out on your topic, not necessarily going to be going into the databases on a daily or even weekly basis. Set these search alerts and that will take care of that problem for you. You can also create an RSS feed, and then finally get search link. This will give you a permalink. So I'm clicking that. It should come up in a minute. It might be slow. It will give you a link that you can then copy and paste into and they're telling me, okay, hopefully you can hear me now. I received a notice that the audio had cut out. Okay, audio is back. Sorry about that. I've never experienced that. Okay, glad we're back. Might have been a temporary glitch with my internet. Funny enough, this is when that link pops up that we requested 30 seconds ago. But this is that permalink, and this is what you can grab and save. You can email it to yourself or save it in your own files. It'll allow you to get back to this search at any point. Okay, we're running a bit short on time here. Let me jump over. I want to show you how. So there may be some times, I'm going to go back to the library's homepage now. There may be some times that you run a search and you find something and there are no full text options and there's no find it walled in button. It's just a record, an index record for a particular source. And it seems highly relevant for your topic and you want to use it. How would you go about getting that? Well, the first thing I would do is try to search in Google Scholar, see if there is a freely available version online. Just a disclaimer, Walden Library cannot guarantee the authenticity of anything accessed in Google Scholar, but it can be a helpful tool. But another way to go about it, especially if any of the organizations creating access to that document seem at all suspect, I would just come over here on the library website to services. Down here on the left, you click on document delivery service, and you can read a bit about document delivery service here. Essentially, what this allows you to do is request materials, and then we email you those materials that we don't have in our collections within 7 to 10 business days. Now, most of the time, these are going to be articles or book chapters. But you can read about it, you can see a short video on how to do it, and then you sign in using this button on the left-hand side. There is a 30 article limit with DDS requests, so just keep that in mind. Most students don't even come close to this limit, but just keep that in mind and reserve those requests for only those materials you think are most necessary for your research. One other thing to know about is a resource called Worldcat, and it's the website is worldcat.org. It will be linked in the presentation. This is essentially an international library catalog. It has records of virtually every resource out there, whether it's a book, video, journal, etc. So you simply enter in the name, the title of what you're looking for. You can enter in an author's name and search. I'm just going to use Walden as our example. And it will bring back all of the different entries that it has for Walden. And in this case, it's over 75,000. So you can navigate to whatever version. Typically what you're searching for probably would not produce that many results, but you navigate to whatever edition you're interested in. So say I was interested in this edition. I could click on that and then come down here where it says enter your location. You can enter in your zip code, and yep, this was doing it This was malfunctioning in the last webinar I did as well. So unfortunately, this feature is not working, but typically you can enter in your zip code and click Find Libraries, and it will show you all of the libraries close to you that have that resource. So keep that in mind. So it'll show you public libraries. If you have a good public library system, you have access to a lot of resources. It'll also show you private libraries at universities and colleges. And for those, I would just recommend calling them before you head over there, just to make sure that they're okay with you consulting their materials. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. Really quick, I want to just mention a few tools that you have, that we recommend rather, to stay organized as you collect literature. One is called a literature review matrix. So I'll just use the term matrix to bring up a quick answer that says, what is a search log or a matrix? And this gives you a good example of what I'm talking about. So might be too big. Here we go. This is a search log. It's a very basic table that you can set up in Excel or a Word document. It has 4 columns for database, search terms, results, and any notes. This will really help you remember where and how you searched. And this is going to become very important when you're writing chapter 2, because you are asked to report on your search strategy. If you've kept detailed notes like this, that's going to be much, much easier. So this is a search log. Now I'm going to follow a link at the bottom here to show you an example of what we call a literature review matrix. And so here that is. So this is, as you can tell, it's a more detailed, a more complex table. There are more columns. This is what you will use to record notes on the actual sources that you pull and plan on using in your research. So there's a column for author, theoretical framework, methodology, conclusions, etc. You can add columns as needed. You can add a column for theme, which is a particularly helpful one. If you do set yours up in Excel, you can sort those columns at the end, and this will help you synthesize your literature. And they do provide access to templates, blank templates, both in Word and Excel on this page from the Writing Center. Okay. Okay, so that covers what I wanted to discuss today, minus one thing that I'm remembering. I'm going to come back over to the home page. I want to make sure that you know how you can contact us. I kind of threw a lot at you today, so you might have questions. And if you do, come up here to this Ask a Librarian button, click on it. You'll see the various ways that you can contact us. You can email us, chat us, phone us, call us. And if you are at the doctoral level, you can schedule a research appointment, and that is a 30-minute sit down with a librarian in which you can receive individualized attention and assistance with any aspect of the process you're struggling with. I also want to show you where you can access this webinar, among others, and that is to click on Get Help along the top banner of any library website. And then in the webinars box, click on Recorded Webinars. And we do have webinars on a lot of different things. So if you haven't yet, feel free to browse these. Let me hop back over, make sure I haven't forgotten. You can reach me at this email, sppa.librarian@mail.waldenu.edu. Those messages come straight to me. Or you can go through the Ask a Librarian feature, any way you're comfortable. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for attending today. Best of luck with your research. And now I will stop the recording and take any questions you may have. Thank you.